John, you've listened to that assessment. I think he belongs in with the giants of the game, Ferguson being one of them, of course, but Bob Paisley and Bill Nicholson. Where do you place him, John, and how, on reflection, would you regard him and his place in the game?
Well, I think he's been one of the great managers, Eamon. And Liam said there, the last 5 years hasn't been good. But, if you go back to, say, Shankly's time, for example, Eamon, he was manager of Liverpool for about 7 or 8 years. And he was brilliant. And they've statues all over the place, quite rightly, for Shankly. If Wenger had finished after 10 years, Eamon, he did have a statue around the ground from now. It like a lot of managers, to go on as long as he did, you're not going to be successful. Well, Ferguson accepted for 20-odd years. So if he'd finished after 10 years, he would be an absolute saint. And I think the fans did get fed up in the last few years. Yeah. They expected a lot. And they forget, a lot of people forget, that he took a different route to Ferguson at a particular time.
Yes.
Ferguson didn't care about the finances. He wanted to get the players, go into debt in the club, but win trophies. Wenger took a different route, which was to keep the club financially right,
yeah, and
build a new stadium. Now, as we know with the fans are not interested in the financial situation. They're only interested in what is the team winning and what are they not winning. And it got to the stage, obviously, where Arsenal weren't competing with Chelsea and Manchester United, as Liam says there. But he was doing a different type of job. But I think he's one of the greats, really. Yeah. What he did in English football, what he did with the team. I would totally disagree with Graham Souness's assessment of him being lucky.
Yeah.
He did inherit, as Liam said there, he did inherit Adams and these guys. But before Wenger came to Arsenal, Tony Adams was known as the donkey.
Yeah, and they were known as...
That was his nickname. He couldn't play. He was a donkey. He couldn't play. He got Tony Adams playing. He got Keown playing. He got all these players playing that hadn't played like that under George Graham. So you've got to give him great credit for that. They became a very, very... They were a successful team under George Graham, but they weren't attractive. Wenger made him a successful team. I'm very, very attractive. If you name the players that he signed in the club. Yeah. Absolutely brilliant team. Now, if he'd have finished immediately after that spell, Eamon, there'd be a statue for him at the Emirates. There should be a statue for him anyway. But he went on a bit too long. I think I would have loved to see him finish like 4 or 5 years ago. And I think it was very sad at the end, the way it's happened. I think, as Liam said, he didn't resign, Eamon. He was pushed out. And they've got a new setup in now. I think it's in the paper today. They've got a new setup off. They're possibly talking about bringing in the assistant manager at Liverpool, but with a new regime totally, bringing him in as a coach. The days of Wenger being in charge are over, and I don't think that's a good thing. But I think Robson, the next player, him, Liam, Stuart Robson, was it? Had a right go at him last week. I heard on the radio. Very, very critical, very unfair. Very cruel, and I don't agree with Graham Souness's assessment either. I think he's been one of the greats.